How's it going, Pokemon fans? Shane back here from Jollymonz, and this week, well, I guess you say today, now that we're doing the whole different anyway, we're going to do some expanded Turbo Turtles. Now, this will probably be the end of us doing too much expanded content, as this weekend is Fort Wayne Regionals. Not Fort Wayne, this weekend is Daytona. Fort Wayne was like a month ago. Daytona Regionals this weekend, which we are attending, and it is expanded as well as the League Cup there, that Sunday being expanded. After this, most of our local events for the foreseeable future are all going to be standards. That's probably what we're going to focus on, because we got to focus on what we're playing. It just benefits us in the long run. Anyway, this is the Turbo Turtles deck that Sam Chen finished second place with at Fort Wayne. Created by Rahul Reddy over at the Chaos Gym. If you want to go check out that channel, very good channel. Anyway, it's a very what's the word I'm looking for here? Non-item reliant, hard-hitting deck. So it's really good in this format, since a lot of people were hyping up Trevenant going into Fort Wayne. So a lot of the decks were trying to run less items, which, as you can see, this deck's only running what? 2, 3, 4, 8, 12, 16 items. So it's not really all that many compared to a lot of the other decks. And you don't even really need the items to go off. I mean, all you really need is Volcanion, Blacksmith, and Turtonator. That's all you need. So, anyway, without further ado, we'll go ahead and start with the Pokemon. The main man of the deck here, being Turtonator. We have Shell Trap for 2, colorless. Does 20 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, if they attack this Pokemon and is dealt any damage, then their active takes 80. So you put 8 damage counters on it. That's very good because it puts them in a situation where they have to debate whether or not they want to attack. Like, if they're trying to use something like a low damage setup type attack that maybe only deals 20 or 30 damage to you, do they really want to take that 80 damage? Do they want to chip away at you, but then also get chipped away at as well? You can also use Steam Up to boost your initial damage with Shell Trap to put them into a situation where, say, they attack you with a Tapu Lele or something, and say you use 3 Steam Ups or something like that with your Shell Trap, so you're hitting them for 110, then that Lele only has 60 HP left, and if she attacks into you, Shell Trap will knock it out. So you put them in these really awkward situations. Now the big attack here being Bright Flame. 2 fire and a colorless for 160, but you have to discard 2 fire energy from Turtonator. There is a lot of energy recursion in this deck thanks to the supporter Blacksmith, which we'll get to in a little bit. But that's like your big damage dealing attack here. It's just a lot of damage that's very easy to keep setting up. His GX attack's also really useful. It's just insanely good. 1 fire for Nitro Tank. Attach 5 fire energy from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way you like. So, you know, like say you go second, you can just Compressor away some energy, Scorched Earth 1 away, you know, Ultra Ball a couple away, whatever, and then Nitro Tank and just load your board state with a bunch of energy, and that's just insanely good. It's also really good in the late game to, like, resustain, like, you know, rebuild after, you know, a bunch of stuff's gone down. So, and it's kind of makes it faster for you to rebuild than your opponent. So, very good GX attack. We are playing a one of Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh is really good against very specific decks. Sacred Fire is very good against Night March. Very good against Golisopod, things of that nature. A fire and 2 colorless to deal 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon, but you don't apply weakness and resistance for the bench. So you can snipe Joltix, you can hit Wimpods in the active, things of that nature. And we have Phoenix Burn for 180, 3 fire and a colorless. This Pokemon can't use Phoenix Burn during your next turn. What's really good about this is if you're going first, if you start Ho-Oh or even Turtonator, you just play Kiawe and put 4 energy on it. You can start using Phoenix Burn turn 2. It's insanely good. Now, Ho-Oh does have a GX attack that you probably will never use. Fire 2 colors for Eternal Flame. Put 3 in any combination of Fire Pokemon GX or put Fire Pokemon EX from your discard pile onto your bench. It's just Nitro Tank is always going to be infinitely better in this situation. Unless you get put in like some really, really awkward situation where, I don't know, they handiwork and hit double heads and somehow discard like 2 Volcanion and a Turtonator, then you would probably use an Eternal Flame, but 9 times out of 10 you're probably not going to. And of course we are using 3 Volcanion EX for that Steam Up ability. Once during your turn, before you attack, you may discard Fire Energy from your hand. If you do, your basic Fire Pokemon attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active. So you're just making your guys hit harder because you're trying to go in for one-shots. Especially since Ho-Oh and Turtonator deal a lot of damage already on their own, so it's very easy to set up one-shot situations. Volcanic Heat's also not terrible when you need to. 2 Fire under colors for 130, but Volcanion can't attack during your next turn. So you have to get him to the bench and bring him back up to reset him or retreat to a different attacker. You know, a lot of times though, you're not going to have to worry about that. It's not too big a deal, but it is there if you need it. It's also very good in the mirror match. Mirror matches can basically turn into Volcanion versus Volcanion because Volcanion hits himself for weakness, so that's always kind of wonky. We are playing 2 of the baby Volcanion for that power heater. 1 Fire for 20. Choose 2 of your bench Pokemon and attach a Fire Energy card from your discard pile to each of those Pokemon. It's very good in the early game to set up attackers, or it's very good in the late game to recur back those energy. So, always a good inclusion in any kind of fire deck. Steam Artillery is also not terrible because it is a 1 prize attacker. 3 Fire Energy for 100. You know, he's always kind of nifty in those situations because you can essentially force your opponent to take 7 prizes, and that's always good. As far as support Pokemon, we are playing 2 Shaman EX for that setup ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you draw until you have 6 cards. This is a turbo deck, hence why it's called Turbo Turtles. So, you want to draw a lot of cards and make sure you get the pieces you're needing to go off. We are playing 1 Tapu Lele GX for that Wonder Tag. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may search your deck for a supporter card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. This is really good for when you're going first, and you can go get that Kiawe from your deck and put a bunch of energy on Ho-Oh or Turtonator. Very good if you're playing, say, against Night March, because we are teching a Karen, so you can, excuse me, go get that Karen. Go get that Blacksmith you need. I mean, Tapu Lele is just Tapu Lele, guys. You gotta play it in pretty much every deck. So that's going to be all the Pokemon. We're playing 12 Pokemon. Trainer-wise, go ahead and start with the items. We are playing 2 Battle Compressor. Search your deck for up to 3 cards and discard them. This is very good to put dead supporters in your discard, or a supporter you might need to use for Versus Seeker to, you know, draw some cards this turn. Like if you open Compressor Versus Seeker but no draw supporter, you can put a Sycamore in the discard pile, whatever the case may be. Discard dead items like Ultra Balls in the late game that you know you have no intention of ever using at this point. Put some Fire Energy in there to use with like Nitro Tank or Power Heater, whatever the case may be. We are playing 1 Field Blower. Choose up 2 in any combination of Pokemon tool cards when stadiums in play and discard them. This is very good to set up knockout situations by discarding Fighting Fury Belts, discard troublesome stadiums, turning off a Garbotox and Garbodor so you can steam up, things of that nature. Field Blower is just one of those staples. You pretty much play in everything. We are playing 4 Ultra Ball because it's Ultra Ball, and you always play Ultra Ball. Discard 2 cards from your hand, search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand. It's just one of the generically best cards in the game. It's Ultra Ball, guys. We are playing 4 Versus Seeker because it's Versus Seeker. Put a supporter card from your discard pile into your hand. That's just really good. Sets up great combo potentialing with Battle Compressor to get whatever supporter you need, or it just gives you essentially your 4 Versus Seekers or whatever supporter you want them to be most of the time. So, let's see. We are playing an A-Spec because this is expanded. Our A-Spec we're doing is Computer Search. Discard 2 cards from your hand, search your deck for a card, and put it into your hand. That's super good. Get to search for whatever you want. Even if all you need is a Fire Energy, you can go get it. You need a supporter, you can go get it. You need to get that Shaman to draw cards, you can go get it. You need a Float Stone to retreat, go get it. It's fantastic. Tool-wise, we are playing 2 Floatstone. Helps you essentially put those on Volcanions 9 times out of 10. Volcanion has a very hefty retreat cost, but it's also just good to retreat when you need to, and not having to pay energy for it. 2 Muscle Band. We are playing this over Fighting Fury Belt and Choice Band. Muscle Band doesn't have that EX-GX restriction that Choice Band has, even though it only adds 20 instead of 30. And we don't really need that HP boost from Fighting Fury Belt, since that 10 damage increase isn't that great. The big thing here is one of the most popular decks in the Expanded right now is Darkrai. And since Turtonator deals a base 160, the 20 from Muscle Band allows you to hit for 180 to one-shot a Darkrai. If they have a Joltik in the active against Night March, the 20 from this also allows Shell Trap to knock out the Joltik. Things of that nature. Muscle Band seems to be the best tool, damage adder for this deck. And in playtesting, I definitely agree with that. So, stadiums. We are playing 3 Scorched Earth, just to help us fuel through the deck. Once during each player's turn, the player may discard a fire or fighting energy card from his or her hand. If that player does, they draw 2 cards. Just helps us get through our deck. You're not going to want to use it too much, because even though we are playing a lot of energy, those energy go very quickly. You don't want to just Scorched Earth for the sake of Scorched Earth, only when you need to. Supporters, we are playing 1 Acerola. Put one of your Pokemon that has any damage counters on it and all cards attached to it into your hand. It's very good for when your opponent just barely can't knock out something and it has a bunch of damage on it. You just put it back into your hand. Getting something stuck in the active, out of the active, so you can start attacking again. That kind of stuff. 3 Blacksmith, which is the corner piece of this deck. Attach 2 Fire Energy cards from your discard pile to one of your Fire Pokemon. So, you have Turtonator out. You use Bright Flame, discard the 2 Fire Energy. Next turn, you just Blacksmith and put the Fire Energy back on. It's fantastic. So, Blacksmith is like the corner piece of this deck. We're playing 1 Colress because this is a deck where you are going to load your bench pretty quickly. And most decks in Expanded are loading their benches, so Colress is fantastic in this deck. Shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw a number of cards equal to the number of bench Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's. So a lot of times you're drawing 7, 8, 9, 10 cards. It's unreal. It's Skyfield decks, even more, like Darkrai. We are playing 1 Guzma. Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. If you do, switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. Guzma is better than Lysander in this deck because you can have stuff like Volcanion get trapped in the active. And even if you don't need to, pull up one of theirs for a knockout, it'll let you get your, heavy retreat cost guy out of the active. So, we play Guzma instead of Lysander. We are playing a Karen just because the Night March matchup isn't super great. So, we're playing a Karen to kind of help that matchup. Each player shuffles all Pokemon in his or her discard pile into his or her deck. We are playing 1 Kiawe. Search your deck for up to 4 Fire Energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon, and then shuffle your deck. And it ends your turn. So, this is something you traditionally only play on, the first turn of the game. Or, if you're going second, you'll play it if you don't, if you can't get there without it. A lot of times you're not going to play this in the late game. There are, of course, those random situations, but 9 times out of 10 you're only going to play this if you're going first on turn 1. It just puts you, it's such a good board state since you can't attack anyway, that you play this. It's just very good. Getting that Ho-Oh to where you can start attacking for 180 on turn 2 is just insane. We are playing 1 M. Each player shovels his or her hand into his or her deck, then they each draw a card for each of their remaining prize cards. We're not super N heavy. A lot of decks in Expanded aren't. Unlike Standard, because Standard doesn't have as much in terms of draw supporters. And since we have Scorched Earth and Shamans, we don't need as many. We are playing 4 Sycamore. Discard your hand, draw 7 cards. It's just really good. You get to draw 7 cards. It's really good. And last but not least, 16 Fire Energy. It's a lot of energy, but you gotta think we use Scorched Earth to discard energy. Steam Up is gonna discard energy. Bright Flame tears through energy. It's you trust me, you need a lot of energy. 15 I've tried and it doesn't quite feel like enough. Like there's a lot of situations where you run out. 16 seems to be the right number. With 17 you kind of just clump a little too much. So 16 definitely feels like the right number. So anyways, guys, that's Expanded Turbo Turtles. We're going to play some games with it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this list. Definitely shout outs to Sam Chen, who placed second with this deck at Fort Wayne Regionals. And a big shout out to Rahul Reddy at the Chaos Gym. Go check out that channel for making the deck. Anyways, guys, I'll see you guys on my other video where I play some games. Stay jolly.